well beyond the reach of DJ Hackett.
Well, I tell you, that's an interesting call with the way that they've been running the football on 3rd and 1 to sort of just drop back in a 4 wide receiver set and chunk one up there. Sean Alexander's the nicest human being maybe to ever play in the National Football League, and he probably won't say anything on the sideline, but if you had a jerk like me playing running back, you'd have got an earful walking over there.
Plaquemire will punt it away. Brandon Williams and Arnez Battle are back.
Timeout, San Francisco.
And the 49ers will call
timeout.
their first timeout of the night. Gives us a chance to take a break with 19 to play in the first half. Seattle leading 7-0. Seattle set to punt it away. Now the 49ers have 11 men on the field. They call timeout because they had 10. This one is blocked. This one is blocked. Keith Lewis would seem to be the 49er who got in and got a hand on that one, and the 49ers will have their best starting field position of the night.
So now that decision to try and throw it on 3rd and 1 becomes even bigger. The field changes, and I'm sure Mike Holmgren's thinking that, well, at least we're going to change the field. And what a terrific play on the outside by Keith Lewis. They call him Killer, and you can see why. He just throws his body around out there. Was always a great special teams player, and they simply couldn't keep him out of the starting lineup. He hit so hard, they said, well, if nobody else is going to hit on this defense, we know Keith Lewis will, and they made him a starter.
Still in search of their first down. The 49ers are at their best starting field position of the night. They'll try Frank Gore, and he'll try the right side and not find anything there. Robert Pollard and Kelly Herndon coming up with the stop.
Right now, the San Francisco offensive line is really struggling without Heitman in there. Remember that your center is the one that makes the calls up there. So now you end up with Tony Raggi in the game trying to make those intricate calls, and a lot of times they're just going to make mistakes, and right now Seattle taking advantage of it.
Loss of 3 on the play. Crowd getting into it here at Quest Field, where the 12th man has become a tradition. Swings it out this side. Vernon Davis with his 3rd catch of the night, but Julian Peterson stops him in his tracks just short of the 50.
And Julian Peterson, one of those guys that came over in free agency from San Francisco, had the Achilles problem, but boy, he is back, and when he's healthy, he is really electrifying. I thought at one time he was one of the best 3 or 4 linebackers in football. He's probably still in that top 15 range, but he can play everything. He can pass coverage, rush the passer.
He leads the Seattle team in sacks.
He
with 9.
can do everything.
Smith will have to throw on 3rd and 8. Getting time. Looking deep, incomplete, overthrowing Antonio Bryant. Marcus Trufant blanketing him.
And you knew eventually Norv Turner was going to have to try and throw one down the field. It's been raining a little bit less here lately, and so they go with the double move to Antonio Bryant, get the pump fake. But this Seattle Seahawks defense really has been playing much better since they took Michael Boulware out, put Jordan Babineau in. They haven't been biting on as many of those double moves and giving up the big plays that they were earlier this season.
Holmgren said he felt his safeties were just a little too aggressive, and that's why they were getting beat over the top.
And San Francisco's safeties weren't aggressive enough.
Andy Lee booming this one into the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 20. 49ers having no success at all. 5 drives, 5 3-and-outs by the 49ers. The NFL and the entire world of sports saddened by the passing last night of Lamar Hunt at the age of 74, complications due to cancer. Lamar Hunt, one of the founding fathers of the American Football League, a giant in this business, a man who oddly enough wanted the game on Thanksgiving night in Kansas City, and when it finally came, he was rushed to the hospital and never came out.
Yeah, it's really too bad. Lamar Hunt's one of those guys, and we all know a handful of them, that everything in the world went right for this guy. I mean, he was just a magical guy, whether it's business, family, whatever the case may be, but he never changed. He was just a guy, you know, you would never know who he was and all that he had if you didn't know who he was. And we talk about Lamar Hunt as DJ Hackett gets first down.
We talk about the entire world of sports being saddened. This is a man who is in 3 halls of fame in sport. Not only was he the first AFL individual to go into the Hall of Fame in Canton, but he is in the International Tennis Hall of Fame and in the Soccer Hall of Fame.
You know, guys that I know, Nick Bonacani and Lynn Dawson, who played in the AFL and were given a chance to play because there was an AFL, they know that but for Lamar Hunt, an undersized linebacker like Nick Bonacani, wouldn't have gotten that chance. You know, Lynn Dawson.
Start, number 38, offense, 5-yard penalty remains, first down.
Lynn Dawson, as great a player as he was a backup year after year, never got a chance, and then he goes over and ultimately ends up beating one of the NFL teams. And there's so many great stories with Lamar Hunt, but certainly a guy that universally around the NFL is so respected, and people cared so much for him, and we really want to send out our condolences to his entire family.
DJ Hackett now with 4 catches for 50 yards. All 4 of his receptions have been for a first down tonight. That's Hackett in the slot to the right. Hasselbeck will throw long. Going for Hackett again, this one falling incomplete. Keith Lewis defending on the play.
Keith Lewis back there, Mark Roman back there, and that was a pretty nice route that time by DJ Hackett. Coming in the slot, little dip inside. It's going to go right around Mark Roman. Mark Roman, a former cornerback, and really had that ball been laid out there a little bit farther, maybe a chance to come up with a play. That was almost the same play they hit on the big one last week in the game against Arizona. They'll come back to him. He's a good player.
They won't this time. This is Alexander working his way up to the 29-yard line before 13-year pro Bryant Young comes through. What a professional he's been.
No, Bryant Young is simply one of the best players, and before he broke his leg back, I don't know, maybe
was headed for the Hall of Fame, maybe?
I think without question. I really do. His numbers every single year that he was putting up, just remarkable. He broke his leg. Hasn't been quite to that level, but you talk to anybody in San Francisco, any of the coaches or players with Seattle, you say, who's their best player? Every single one of them said Bryant Young, and he's been doing it a long time.
It's 3rd and 13. Maurice Morris in the backfield for the first time tonight. Hasselbeck being flushed. He'll get out of bounds at the 32-yard line.
They just come with a 3-man pressure that time, and Bryant Young with some late pressure. And it's interesting that Matt Hasselbeck, for all the really good stuff that he does, and I think he's at his best when he drops back 3 steps, 5 steps, gets the ball out. You talk to some scouts, they say the thing that he does not so well is ad-lib plays. In other words, just like that, when he's out of the pocket, you don't see him come up with some of the plays that you will a Brett Favre, a John Elway kind of a guy.
Plaquemire had the last one blocked. This one he gets off freely. It'll come to rest and out of bounds at the 27-yard line. With Seattle making a lot of yardage, but not that many points. They're up on San Francisco, 7-0. A good look at beautiful Quest Field in Seattle, Washington, glistening on a Thursday night, where the hometown fans are cheering their Seahawks, who lead 7-0 in the second period. 49ers still looking for their first down of the night. Smith will throw on first. Being flushed, getting back to the line of scrimmage before Chuck Darby chases him out of bounds.
Well, Alex Smith getting out around the corner that time and getting a good block on the play from Frank Gore, who kind of does a little bit of everything out there for the San Francisco 49ers, trying to work it down. There you see him taking out Julian Peterson and looking around for somebody else. That's the kind of all-around football player Frank Gore has become.
Darby came off after that play. We're not sure what the problem is. We'll try to get a word on that. As Gore looks inside, fights his way past the line of scrimmage. As we've noted, he is wired for sound tonight.
Go, go, go! Hey, let's go, man! Come on!
Gore knows that on the screenplay, he's supposed to yell, go, 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 when he catches the ball so the lineman can go downfield, but the lineman didn't go fast enough for Frank Gore on that one.
49ers still looking for their first down of the night. The rain's picking up again as Smith looks again for Vernon Davis. This one incomplete, and the 49ers will go off again.
Looking for Vernon Davis, then he turned back to look for Antonio Bryant, and it's just too slow. You know, I mean, I see the plays develop, and I know Mike Nolan sees the plays develop, and Alex Smith has to learn to anticipate that throw. He had Antonio Bryant, but by the time he wound up and saw it and didn't anticipate, it was too late.
Getting a workout is Andy Lee. Is that possible? Is this his 6th punt of the night?
That is his 10th.
Fielding this one at his own 10-yard line. Burleson will step out. Hey, we got another game in a couple days.
You've got another game in a couple days.
The playoffs are on the line Saturday night when the 8-5 Cowboys travel to Atlanta to face the 7-6 Atlanta Falcons. The action kicks off Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, only on the NFL Network. You don't want to make the trip?
I wasn't invited. That's the problem. But for the Dallas Cowboys, they look like they were going to be the runaway winner of that division, and all of a sudden now,
however, the
Giants, the Eagles are sitting right there, and they play each other this week. And so if the Cowboys were to lose in Atlanta, all of a sudden the tiebreakers really start to shift to those other teams. Huge, huge game for the Dallas Cowboys. And for the Atlanta Falcons, for that matter, trying to stay in the hunt.
This side, that is Burleson getting a touch. Here's a look at the complete NFC playoff picture, which Chris, I'm sure, will make sense of.
I can't make it sense out of anything all night. I don't know why I'd start now. But really, the Dallas Cowboys are right there. And here really is the key matchup in my mind, because both of those teams, with the record that they have within the division, within the conference, really have a chance to jump up on the Dallas Cowboys and put tremendous pressure on them. The Saints really laid a number on the Cowboys last weekend at home, and it was an expensive one for the Cowboys.
Sean Alexander once again working his way past the 20. Indication is first down Seattle.
How about that push from Sean Alexander? There really wasn't a whole lot there, and he just sort of put his head in the back of the pile and like a rugby scrum or something, and his momentum was enough to push the lineman and the defensive lineman forward and end up picking up a first down out of it.
Before we leave the subject of the Saints, they always say that no team is as good as it looks when they're winning. But this is not a mirage. How good are they?
I'm beginning to think they're really good. You know, you really have to consider what they've done this season and the number of different ways that they can beat you offensively. Deuce McAllister pounding the ball in the middle, over 100 yards almost every single week. Reggie Bush to the outside out there. Marcus Colston, the outstanding rookie. Joe Horn's been in and out of the lineup. Devery Henderson. They have a lot of different ways to beat you. And the thing that I like most about them is the fact that they can hit you in so many different areas of the field.
Crowd wants an interference penalty. Thought Mark Roman got there a little bit early, but the officials didn't see it that way. How do you feel if you're a Miami fan? You went with Culpepper instead of Brees.
Doesn't look like the right answer right now. There was definitely a little contact down the field, and the rules are so restrictive, but I really thought that was a pretty good play by Mark Roman. He got his hand underneath the arm and knocked it away, and you're seeing some of the corner ability of this now safety for San Francisco.
Leaves the Seahawks needing 5 for the first down. Hasselbeck will throw it this side. That is DJ Hackett once again with his 6th catch of the night, reaching for the marker. Let's wait and see. First down Seattle.
And remember, Darrell Jackson, who without question is the best of these Seattle receivers, is not in the game. And who has become the next guy, in your opinion?
DJ Hackett.
You got it.
6 catches, 61 yards so far tonight.
Coming off of his first 100-yard performance a week ago. and they love him here. And I think that he is going to be more and more part of the offense. They've paid a lot of money to these other guys, but he's the player right now that has the hot hand.
You saw that graphic. The Seahawks now with 10 first downs, the 49ers with none. Hasselbeck looking long for Hackett. In and out of his hands at the 15.
Well, he played it the right way. It just didn't catch the ball. He went up and tried to catch it at his highest point and used his body like the rebounder, like the basketball player that we were talking about. But right now, when Matt Hasselbeck decides he's going to throw a ball up in the air, it's going to DJ Hackett, and that one just really kind of went right through his hands.
Mark Roman and Shante Spencer on the coverage back.
Yeah, that's almost one that if he had jumped up and cradled it into his chest, I think he'd have made the play. He tried to go up with his hands, but the ball's a little slimy out there right now.
There's that slimy again. Left side this time, Jeremy Stevens manages to hang on to one. That gets a derisive cheer here in Cincinnati.
What's that called?
In Seattle.
In the Bronx cheer or whatever that one's called. But for Jeremy Stevens, here's a kid that if he could ever get it going, I mean, he's such a big athletic guy, a former #1 draft pick, and if he started making plays in the middle, it would really open it up for the outside.
We'll get this play, 1st and 10. Alexander with a gain of 4. I asked Brandon Moore, San Francisco linebacker, yesterday. I said, why does everybody seem to detest Jeremy Stevens? He said, because he runs his mouth. He talks too much. He said, and he don't make enough plays to do that much talking.
You know, guys that talk a lot, they want you to think that they're confident. But if they're really confident, they don't have to talk so much.
Well, he said
what I mean?
Stevens shuts up as the game goes along.
Yeah, I bet you Marshall Faulk didn't say 2 words his entire career out there on the field. He just went out there and whipped you.
On the other hand, Deion probably did.
Yeah, I was going to use Deion, but I thought that was not a good idea.
This is Hackett again, and again a first down. Hackett's having a big night.
Yeah, they're using DJ Hackett and that big body inside. They've got Ingram, they've got Burleson on the outside, and it gives Hackett just a chance to work on the inside against middle linebacker Brandon Moore, and he's doing a good job. These are some of the things that Hackett couldn't do early on. He didn't understand how to work a linebacker, use his body, that every week you're seeing him grow and grow.
First down, Alexander gets hit hard. Brandon Moore and Shante Spencer coming across, getting good penetration. Coming up next, the Wendy's halftime show. We invite you to join Rich Eisen, Steve Mariucci, the aforementioned Deion Sanders, and Marshall Faulk.
The quiet.
First half
Sorry,
highlights
keep reading. Go ahead.
and analysis, and of course, look ahead to the weekend.
I never got a chance to play against Deion, but I would have enjoyed the show, I think. Even if he'd have shut me out, what the heck? I'd have probably been out there laughing.
I was about to say, if he'd have shut you out?
There's not much doubt about that.
Maurice Morris is in for Sean Alexander. Hasselbeck with some time, lofting this one for Morris, but overthrowing him.
That's a good play by Chad Williams that time. He got a bump on Maurice Morris as he was coming across the line of scrimmage and just threw off the timing on that route just a bit. And Hasselbeck, assuming that Morris got a free release, would be running a little faster than that, and he just simply couldn't catch up to it.
Meanwhile, Mother Nature has made liars of us again. 5 minutes before we came on the air, power was down. It was coming down sideways in sheets here, and we were expecting high winds. Instead, it's turned out to be a pretty pleasant night.
Big play here for Seattle as they try to get at least in field goal range.
Hasselbeck throwing and completing. Jeremy Stevens with a nice grab. Down just at about the 11-yard line. Chad Williams on the coverage.
You know, I think this is almost psychological. I really do. Because you got Matt Hasselbeck. He hit him a couple of plays ago.
Is it a catch? Watch it. Watch it.
All right. Oh, I think that thing hit the ground. It looked like as he was pulling this thing down, it goes right to the ground.
Incomplete.
And we have the flag out. Mike Nolan ran all the way out on the field. Remembering what happened in the opener this year with Nick Saban.
Just as we were about to compliment Stevens on a great grab.
He dropped another one. They'll be booing retroactively here in a minute. There's no question about it. The ball hit the ground, though.
San Francisco is challenging the ruling on the field of the catch and the fact that it may have hit the ground.
At least when they boo, you'll be able to tell himself they're booing the reversal. We're pretty sure it's going to be overturned, but we'll take a break here. 4:07 to play in the first half. Seattle leading 7-0. We're back in Seattle, where this one is definitely going to be overturned. Moreeeee coming out from under the hood, but this is a good look at it.
Yeah, there's just not much doubt about that one. And I just don't know why Jeremy Stevens wants to make everything an overhand catch. When you do that in that type of play right there, if the ball falls, it falls to the ground. If you put your hands underneath the other way, you just cradle it into your chest.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is incomplete pass. The ball hit the ground. It will be 4th down on the 36.5-yard line. Please set the game clock to 4:41, and San Francisco will not be charged a timeout.
And that leaves Mike Holmgren with a bit of a decision, because he's facing 4th and 12 at the 36. If he were to try a field goal here, he's looking at 53 yards.
I don't think you have a lot to fear from San Francisco on the offensive side, but there's no reason to take a chance here. You've got the game well in hand. Your defense is dominating play. And I just throw in, and really with 4:41 to go, if your defense continues to make plays, you get the ball back still in great field position.
Why give him an opportunity? And so Plaquemire is on to punt. He will try to land this one just inside the 5. Takes a hop into the end zone. And it'll come out to the 20. Gives us an opportunity to note that tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Under Armour. And that's one of those things in the meeting we said there's no way in the world they'll get anything aloft tonight. But the winds have not amounted to much just yet.
What happened to the 80-mile-an-hour winds and all the things that we were told? You know when it'll happen? When we board this red eye later on tonight, and then it'll be...
You know, all the local stations we were watching all day long, they were canceling evening activities in anticipation of these 60 and 80-mile-an-hour gusts. They look as dumb now as we do. 4:33 in the first half, and the 49ers have had nothing going their way on offense. This is Gore getting back across the 25 before Leroy Hill comes up to stop him.
Well, you can almost tell that Frank Gore is going to find Larry Allen. And I would too. You know, if you've got a future Hall of Famer like Larry Allen in front of you, and your second best lineman, Eric Heitman, is out of the game, that time the play was designed to go right. He found Larry Allen and just ran right behind him, which is a good idea.
Gore now with 10 carries, just 26 yards on the night. He's just finding nothing up in there. And what's really interesting about this, as they now find themselves with 3rd and probably 2, is we were talking earlier about how physically we thought San Francisco's offensive line might be able to manhandle the front 4 of Seattle because there was such a disparity in weight. Seattle's front 4 averaging just 275, and San Francisco's front 5 averaging 311.
But you know what's happening is Seattle's using their speed to come around. That time Bryce Fisher, looping around the backside, beat Vernon Davis because there was a hole, but it just didn't materialize because they didn't get the backside block.
3rd and 1. And Gore pile drives his way across the 35, still on his feet, collecting tacklers before he's dragged down by a gaggle of gray-suited Seahawks.
And now it's going to get a little uglier than that.
Holiday greetings being what they are. One of them said Silent Night was a better song than O Little Town of Bethlehem, and somebody in white disagreed. Larry Allen in the middle of things. Why do I think if there was a fight, I would not choose up Larry Allen?
Larry Allen really the key once again here on this one. Just going to pull out in front. Get the trap block, really just kind of push the pile a little bit. Vernon Davis with a good block. I tell you what, this Frank Gore is all fight and all heart. There is a flag down on the field. That was a 3rd and 1, which they obviously picked up, assuming that this flag, although even if all this happened after the play out of bounds, even if it's a personal foul against San Francisco, it'd still be a first down. Probably offsetting. I can't imagine they're going to be able to pick out one person out of that little scrum. But
Mike Nolan pleading his case, and Mike Holmgren on the other sideline saying, "Come, somebody come talk to me."
After the play, there are fouls on both teams. Personal foul, number 21, offense. Personal foul, number 26, defense. The penalties will offset. Result of the play, first down.
Al Gore and Ken Hamlin, the guilty party, but it seems Marcus Trufant got away with one here.
Well, this is what led to the whole scrum here. And that would have been a 15-yard in addition face mask, because he grasped the face mask, turned the helmet, and so Frank Gore, feeling like that he got abused on the play, started to fight back a little bit. The officials just missed that one.
Small victories being what they are, the 49ers have just scored their first down of the night.
And it was a big one, so now that hopefully they don't have to punt the football back.
Smith taking it down up the middle for a gain of, let's call it 4, before Rocky Bernard and Lofa Tatupu.
You know, it's interesting. Last year, Alex Smith was told to look 1, 2, and run. And this year, Norv Turner has been trying to say, listen, I want you to become a quarterback. I want you to go 1, 2, 3, or at least 1, 2, 3. Let's go through our progressions a little bit, and discouraging from running as much. And I really think that's the right approach, because you have to begin to develop those quarterbacking skills.
49ers trying to get this one off before the 2-minute warning, and they will. The give is to Gore. Lofa Tatupu hitting him in the backfield and stopping him for no gain, perhaps a loss of 1. We've reached the 2-minute warning. Seattle Seahawks out in front of the 49ers, 7-0.
Rich Eisen, Marshall Faulk, Deion Sanders, Steve Mariucci getting ready for the Wendy's halftime report, on which we'll hear a little bit of your Tony Romo conversation, Deion, to get us ready for Saturday.
Oh, Tony Romo at Valley Ranch is going to be a good one.
And Adam Schefter will give us the weather report. So, Bryant, it's Romo and weather together on the ones at the half.
We'll look forward to it, Rich. Thanks so very much. Back up top, the crowd is into it on what is a 3rd down for the 49ers. Seahawks looking to get one more possession before this half is done.
The weather's pretty good right now. Big 3rd down right now. This is the spot that Vernon Davis was drafted for. You know, he's the guy now on 3rd and 5 that they should be looking for.
Davis is lined up tight on the right. Smith underthrowing Antonio Bryant, and they'll give it up on downs.
Alex Smith that time just made a bad read. Arnaz Battle on a shallow cross coming across the field would have had an easy completion, an easy first down. He looked down the field. You have to find the situation here. You have to look for what this is. Coming straight across the field, there's plenty of room to get that ball to him quickly. Would have picked up the first down there.
Smith just 3 of 9 for 17 yards tonight.
There's no reason to throw it for 17 on 3rd and 5 when you've got a guy that comes wide open.
This is a fake. Michael Robinson deep in the Seattle territory to the 20-yard line. The former Penn State quarterback on what was a direct snap. Caught the Seahawks napping.
Well, Michael Robinson, of course, kid that played quarterback at Penn State, and they're just such a versatile guy. They couldn't, he was a short yardage back for a little while. That didn't work out, but boy, when you get a chance to run a trick play, who better to give the ball to than him?
Pickup of 33, and the 49ers deep now in the Seattle territory at the 24. They're far the deepest penetration of the night. Smith.
See if they call
this
a
is
force
Battle
out.
Pushed out. They're going to call it a force out.
Yep, they sure did. That is completely at the discretion of the official. It is not reviewable. If he thought that Arnaz Battle would come down inbounds with possession of the ball, he is allowed to rule, even though neither foot comes down in bounds, that he would have made the catch. The force out's called there, not reviewable, and that's a first down.
Good call. Jordan Babineau.
Yep.
Pushing him out, but you could see that Battle almost got the toes down as it was.
Yep. I thought it was a good call, too.
And so after all that has gone wrong for them all night, we find ourselves 46 seconds left in the first half. And the 49ers have the ball down to the 10-yard line, and they're just a strike away from tying this ball game up.
And you can see Alex Smith's confidence growing. Mike Holmgren's disgusted. Thought he had the ball back in his possession.
The previous play is being reviewed.
Now, the only thing that can be reviewed on that was whether he maintained complete possession of the ball all the way to the ground. On that catch, he would have to catch it, go to the ground, not bobble it even slightly. If he bobbles this even slightly going to the ground, then it could be ruled incomplete. The force out cannot be reviewed, though. I won't see it from that angle.
Couldn't tell from there. This will be a better angle.
Oh, now
the ball
that
definitely shifted.
If the ball shifts just a bit, they will call that incomplete. The force out is not being reviewed. But if he doesn't maintain complete possession, and I've got to say, I don't think that he did there, they're going to rule that incomplete.
We got a bunch of former quarterbacks figuring in this drive. Arnez Battle, also a former quarterback himself at Notre Dame. Robinson, a former quarterback at Penn State. Here's another look at this.
Now, I know people at home are saying that's ridiculous. He just barely bobbled the ball. It's right on his chest. But when that ball comes out like that and he loses control for a fraction of a second, it's going to be called incomplete. And you're going to get to laugh at me when he calls it complete. But in my opinion,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Based on what I know of that rule, that is going to be called incomplete.
That was so beautiful about Muhsin Muhammad's catch on Monday night when he went up in the corner of the end zone, grabbed it with the hands, and just kept it frozen there as he came to the turf.
Squeezes it. They are so strict with that rule of going to the ground after a catch. The same thing applies, obviously, catching the ball out of bounds in the end zone, whatever the case may be. But if there is the slightest bobble, the slightest turn of the ball, and I've been in arguments, you know, Mike Pereira, and you say, oh, how can that be? And he caught the ball, and come on, you know, give the receivers a break. But they have a very, very strict interpretation of that rule.
Strict interpretation on this one is that's not a catch.
Yeah, although, boy, I've been on the other end of these kind of calls, and it's not that obvious, but in my opinion, that will be incomplete.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands.
Told you.
Okay. I'm not sure how we arrive at that, but it's where we are.
Has to be conclusive evidence. Did the ball move? Okay.
He got an assist, it seems, from the ball boy who blocked the view a little bit, but you could see him slap his hands together above the ball.
There's no question that both his hands moved a bit off of that ball. Has to be conclusive. I guess that's what they're saying.
And we've put 10 seconds back on the clock. We're still inside a minute. Smith over the middle for Gore. This one falling incomplete, and we've got another flag.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Procedural call against the Niners. It will remain first down, but they'll be pushed back to the 15.
And the 49ers have to take advantage here. They catch a break on that play, in my opinion. They convert on the fake punt. You're down here at the end of the half. You have to take a little momentum here.
What do you go with, though, Chris? I mean, in a night when nothing has worked from the line of scrimmage, what do you go with?
I still think Vernon Davis is the big guy that you hired for this situation.
Gore stutter stepping in the hole and going nowhere. Bryce Fisher and Rocky Bernard on the stop.
Yeah, and here comes the rain. You decide to go a little conservative on that play and try and pop one out of there with a draw. And it was Quaim Harris who completely missed the block there. and didn't give Frank Gore a chance.
And the 49ers will take their second time out of the half. Here comes the rain.
In and out.
Every night, learn the latest news from around the league, hear directly from the players, and get a breakdown of the key matchups. You can do all that by watching NFL Total Access weeknights on the NFL Network.
Now the 12th man comes into play again as this crowd gets jacked up. Really plenty of time for the 49ers. They still have one timeout remaining.
The problem is less the clock than they've had no success with anything tonight from the line of scrimmage. This time Michael Robinson is in the backfield. Two quarterbacks behind center. Smith will look to throw, flush to the right. Keeps it inside the 10, going for the end zone.